Hi, my name is Pavel. I work for Geo Games. Geo Games is a platform for creating location-based games using virtual characters, items, and missions, and I'd like to show you what we're currently working on. Let's say I wanted to create a treasure hunt game. The story is simple. Nicolaus Copernicus, the great astronomer who lived and worked in Olsztyn, that's my hometown in Poland, created a model of the universe for a startup competition in 1542. Unfortunately, someone stole the model, and the mayor wants our player to get it back. He needs to get it back following clues and interacting with virtual characters that we placed around the old town part of Olsztyn. Let's start with the gameplay. It's going to be easier to understand what we're building. If you ever played Pokemon Go, the interface should look very familiar. To make things a little faster, I skipped the signing process and I'm using an on-screen joystick. In a normal game, our player would need to walk around the old town of Olsztyn to interact with the players. Let's see what's happening. The game starts near the town hall of Olsztyn, where we speak to the mayor. She tells us that it's a tragedy that Nicholas Copernicus made a model and we should talk to him. He's currently at the castle. Here's our mission screen. We see there's a mission to visit the castle and talk to Nicholas Copernicus. He has more details about what actually happened. So our player goes to the old town. When he's close enough to the designated location, which I set to be the castle, the NPC, a non-person character, appears and we can interact with them. So here's our castle, here's our Nicholas Copernicus, and he says that he went for some beers with friends in a pub nearby. There's a little side mission here. I told the player using Nicholas Copernicus that the last round was taken care of by the barmaid Jane, and Nicholas Copernicus asked the player if he could give an item, money, to the player. If the player agrees, the item will go to the backpack, and if he doesn't agree, the side mission is over. Our player agrees, and the item lands in the backpack. We can see it here. And now we can go to the St. John's Bridge to give the barmaid Jane the money and ask her about other details regarding last night when Nicholas Copernicus had the model. So here's the bridge. Our barmaid appears. We can talk to her. She tells us that Nicholas Copernicus had some beers with his friends, the shopkeeper. We decided, the player is honest, we decided to give her back the money, and the item disappeared from our backpack. And now we can go to the center part of the city and talk to the shopkeeper. Here we see the item is gone. Here we see another mission, find the shopkeeper. Let's go to the center part, and our shopkeeper friend appears. We can talk to him. He said that the night ended in the Central Park. It's a park in Olsztyn near the old town, and there were some shady characters. And he suggests maybe they stole the model. That's all of the gameplay I wanted to show you. I hope we can better understand now what we're building. And now for the part when we want to build the actual scenario we just witnessed. This is the creator's dashboard. We're working on more than a few features for the creators to build interesting stories. I'm not going to focus on all of the things we have on the screen. I'm just going to go through the basics that allowed me to build the simple story we just saw. Let's start with the characters. We have 4 characters. We have the mayor. She's the starting point. She's going to be at the town hall. We have Nicholas Copernicus, we have his friend Jack the shopkeeper, we have the barmaid Jane who helps us at the bridge. To build a character using GeoGames, we need just a few simple details. We need the name, we need the description and an avatar. I use the 3D model I bought online, but you can use a regular picture. Then we have an opponent. An opponent is a character that has an additional fighting mechanic. The fighting mechanic is a basic one. You just tap on the screen so the health of the opponent decreases, and when it goes to 0, the opponent is defeated and the player can go forward with the scenario. Besides the fighting mechanic, you can also add an item as a reward after defeating the opponent. Besides that, the regular things, so just the name, the description, and avatar, and a few other functions. And then we have items. Items are elements we just use to forward the scenario. You also need the name, the description, and avatar. We have 3 items: the orrery, that's the model of the universe; the key to the city the player gets when he returns the orrery to the mayor; and the money Nicholas Copernicus asked the player to give Jane the barmaid. After creating characters, opponents, and items, we can put them on a map. This is a map of Olsztyn. This is an old town part. This is a central park where's the fountain where the thief is. I put all the NPCs I created. This is the town hall, so I have put the mayor like this here, and she's going to stand. This is the castle where Nicholas Copernicus is. This is the place where the shopkeeper is, and this is where the barmaid stands. This is where the thief is. This as a whole is like 35 to 40 minutes walking distance as a whole, so it's not a very short game, but also try to use the most of the characters I designed. Then, after creating the elements and putting them on a map, we can proceed to create the missions the player will have to fulfill. We have 5 types of missions in GeoGames currently. We can ask the player to answer a question where the answer he has to write in an input field. We can create a quiz for him to pick an answer. We can ask him to send a photo or send a video, or use a GPS type of mission. I used a lot in this just to check if the player is at the place we want them to be. We just need the name, the content of the mission, and if you use the GPS mission, we need the location. If I wanted the player to have a really easy mission, I could check this checkbox to allow to use navigation. Then on the mission list, there's a button, an additional button the player can just click and be guided through a GPS-like feature to the place. I don't want the mission to be as easy as that, so I won't check that. After creating the elements, putting them on a map, and assigning missions, we use those elements to build the scenario. The scenario is built using connecting different parts into a decision tree. We start off with a simple element that is a pop-up. When the player starts the game, they get an information that welcome to the stolen universe, have a great game. Then I put the mayor on the map, and now in the scenario part, I'm trying to show her on a map. It doesn't matter where the player starts the game. I put the NPC mayor on the map near the town hall, so when I'm showing the mayor, she's always going to stand near the town hall. Most of the elements we see here are conversations between NPCs. The blue elements are NPCs, and those are the statements that we can offer the player to choose from. Depending on the statement the player chooses, we can build the scenario on one way or the other. If the player isn't interested in playing our game and he clicks "No, sorry, too busy," we can send him a pop-up. If he's interested, the scenario proceeds. Most of the elements here are contain the first 3 parts of the scenario. They are very similar, because we go to the town hall, we speak to the mayor, we go to the castle, speak to Nicholas Copernicus, then go to the bridge and speak to the barmaid, then go to the shopkeeper. Every conversation has some clues the player needs to use to know where should he or she go next and what to look for. The scenarios look very similar. The differences are at the end. I use events. Events is a block that's one of the most important blocks in building the scenarios. I can use an event to show an NPC, a character, an opponent, hide it, give the player an item to the backpack, or show the item next to the player, depending on what I want to do. Here, we talk to Nicholas Copernicus. He asks us for a favor to give the money to the barmaid, the money he owes, and we have an event that sets the item into the backpack of the player. I assign the backpack I assigned the item called money, and then I assigned the next mission, a GPS mission, to land on the mission list, and so the player knows he needs to go find the barmaid. The barmaid. The next elements are similar. If the player decides to give the money back to the barmaid, I use an event to remove the item from the backpack, and the item disappears. And then I assign another mission to find the shopkeeper. I made a small loop here. If the player decides not to give the money, if he's not honest and doesn't give the money back to the barmaid, he still is assigned the mission, so the main route of the scenario is not changed. Then he talks to Jack the shopkeeper, and it looks similar. I can assign an event that hides the shopkeeper, the NPC, if I want to keep him hidden after the conversation. And the last part of the scenario is engaging with the opponent. After talking to the shopkeeper, our player should know that he will be searching for the opponent in the park in Olsztyn near a fountain. When he goes to the fountain, we trigger an event to show the opponent. After defeating the opponent, there's a message that you got the orrery. We assigned another mission to go to speak to the mayor. When he goes to the town hall, the mayor has another conversation with him, and the scenario game ends at a double event where I give the key to the city from the mayor to the player, and remove the orrery from the backpack. Then we have a short pop-up. Thanks for playing. Enjoy the game. Enjoy the city. And the last element is a finish element. After reaching this element, the player doesn't see anything inside the game, but the application he uses to play the game shows a end of the game screen that he knows that it's finished. That's basically about it. I hope you have at least a few ideas how to use GeoGames in games you would like to design. If you would like to take GeoGames for a spin, we're looking for any feedback and for people interested in building games. So there's a form in the description below. You can contact us with that using that form. Thanks a lot, and hope to see you soon.